we wanted to talk about today really is snow management and what that means. First, we're going to go through some of the mechanical parts of what the town does and what some of the other folks in town do and what some of our contractors do, what kind of equipment and people we have. But really what I want you to think about as you go through that is what could we do differently? And I don't mean how much better we can clear the streets, because very frankly, if anybody here has been to someplace who does a better job, tell us. We want to go talk to them, very frankly, because we just haven't seen that. And if there's anybody out there in the country that does, please let us know. We want to go talk to them. But other than that, we'll go through some of the technical stuff. And the real goal is to get to snow management as it applies to mobility and recreation. How do you get people to where they want to recreate? How do we make that better? And then how do we enhance the experience? We'll see some suggestions to kind of start the conversation when we get to it. But first, we'll go through this technical stuff. I suppose I can work this left, right, or up and down. Point over there. There we go. You've seen this before if you've been in any of the sessions. Just a quick introduction. I'm Grady Dutton, the Public Works Director. The other people involved with snow management for the town, really, one is Todd Murphy, our maintenance manager. He's only been here for 25 years.
Newbie.
Yeah, he's not sure what's going on, but he'll muddle through today after 25 years of either operating, training, or helping purchase and find the equipment that we use and designing the overall program, frankly. Hayes is, as you just met him in the previous one, our engineering manager, involved with really helping us with the infrastructure and the planning for how we can do things. He's also very heavily involved in the recreation side of things, more than I am, because I'm going to ski, but I'm not going out on the trails in a fat bike this year, maybe next year. Three others that I've named here as well. Lon Adams, our fleet superintendent. The fact that the equipment we have, none of it's brand new. The fact that it all works is due to Lon and his crew down at the garage. And I just wanted to mention them because it's a big team. Plus, during the winter, Todd will describe some of the things the mechanics do to augment the program, whether it be cindering or whatever they do. Parks, Warren Bowling, he's out of town this weekend, but he's the guy who takes care of any of the trails and sidewalks. So when people get out and go to work or try to get someplace in the morning, and frankly, a lot of people are still amazed that at 6:37 in the morning, a lot of the sidewalks are clear, Old Mammoth Road and some of the others. He's the one responsible for that. And Brian Picken, our airport manager, because we do have snow equipment out there as well. And when it's a dump, they have everybody out on the runway doing that work. So there's a lot of people involved with that. Background, again, I'm going to go through that, who the operators are, our snow management policy, the equipment, what we do, and then again we'll talk about future opportunities for mobility and recreational. And then the time under summit session, I just mentioned at the end of the last one that these are a big funnel. They all are going to come together at the end because there's overlap for everything. You're just talking about Shady Rest and what can we do different up there. By the way, I just caught the tail end of that, but we did get an invoice for plowing that road. We do believe ORMAT is going to help us, so we may pay it, but whether it works or not, we're going to send it to them and we're going to have a conversation about how they should share in that this season or next. So that is definitely on the table. In fact, I think the invoice is on my desk, and we've had a couple emails go back and forth in the last week, so it's absolutely on topic. First, the operators. Again, Caltrans does 395 clearly, but they also do a 203 from 395 up to Minaret and the Minaret Road all the way up to really to Main Lodge. That's their responsibility. And I'm going to stop for a second and let Todd describe what they do different than we do, maybe, because they do have a different operation and they do things a little bit differently.
Caltrans' job is, for their snow removal efforts, is mainly with plow trucks along 203 and up Minaret until the mountain takes over. The mountain, everything from about their cinder barn up there is what the ski area takes care of because it's basically parking for them. So it's easier to have the mountain do it than Caltrans do it. You don't want to rely upon Caltrans to do it because they might be behind and then the mountain's not going to have parking. So their stuff's predominantly plow truck through Main Street and everything like that. Or most of our parking is
Are these a different cinder than we do for whatever reason?
No, they use the same cinder.
Somebody mentioned red versus black.
They do, but not in town. They don't use it down on the highway, south of Bishop. They use red cinder. We tried it here years ago. The town didn't, the red cinder seems to be a lot bigger than what the dark cinders that we use and the state uses in this area. So there was too many.
The red cinders come a lot further away.
Exactly. And they're bigger. They had more glass chips and stuff like that. Okay.
We'll come back to what we do, but that, again, that's just basically what Caltrans does. The town, we do basically all the town roads. We also do the scenic loop. We take care of the airport, and then we also have some assessment district roads, Juniper Bridge, Bluffs, other things that are actually done under contract to the town, but it's private contractors. This year and last, I think it's Chuck Villar who's doing that. But there are, again, aside from that, the ski area, that's why I said 2 or 3 parking, because once it gets up to a certain point, they clear that, they blow that to make sure they can create the parking areas, which were, by the way, pretty packed today. There weren't that many people on the hill, but the road was pretty busy. They also do some grooming up around Tamarack, and Hayes, I don't know if you know exactly what they do up there or not, but don't they work some of their parking lots?
Yeah, they do. So they're, basically, we plow the gate pretty much, and then the road that goes out to Tamarack and their yard over there is dirt, is all their responsibility, the lodge.
In there, as you see, a number of private snow removal operators around town. I mean, the people who do the parking lot, and kind of where I live, people who do parking lots all over town. There's a number of them. Those things do different jobs during the summer, but during the winter, they're all chained out and they're all snow removal because we get a big dump with everybody in. We actually have a snow management policy. It's 5 pages, 3 pages, I don't remember exactly how many pages it is, but it's pretty clear, and it's something that we are going to look at after this summit. I'm not saying we're going to make significant changes to it, but as you'll see, we're looking for suggestions, and we'll talk about that policy. But they actually listed 3 or 4 goals. That's the only one that I put on here because that's the only one when we get phone calls that I address to every time. It's like, we're here for public safety. We're here to open the roads, get people to work, clear the roads so we don't have accidents. And that's really the bottom line. And in terms of the priority, again, emergency response always has to be first. We do the main arterials and the bus routes, and we go on through, from there. The last thing we do is help shovel out the traffic signals, the pedestrian beacons. You also see the fire department, and you see some of the crews that they bring in, some of the inmate crews and stuff are now doing fire hydrants this year as well. So there's a lot going on. Town equipment, and again, these are the ones that Long fixes when Todd breaks them, and I'll let you describe kind of what we have and how that works.
Okay, yeah, our 6 loaders are a nice sized Cat 966 loaders with blades on them. The loader mounted snow blowers, we have 5 of them. 4 of them are currently used as a regular snow blower. 1 of them is a backup snow blower. It's pretty old. We use it just when one of our mainline ones break down, then we can jump into the backup blower just to keep us going. It's a lot slower. It's not as productive for snow removal as what the newer stuff is. The 2 plow trucks that we run out there, they have plows on the front and they have cinder beds on them for spreading cinder around town in the slick areas and turns, shady areas and stuff like that. The 2 trackless snow blowers are for our sidewalk system that we have here that keeps growing, more and more there. My crew doesn't necessarily run the sidewalks, since Warren Bowlings, he's in charge of doing the sidewalk snow removal, but they do work side by side with us. If they need to blow snow into the street, they need to be out there when we're doing our plowing efforts, so we can clear the snow that they put out there. We don't want to blow into sidewalks into a clean street because it ends up being a hazard. And then the skid steer is a new addition to our fleet, and it's just doesn't see a lot of around town work. It sees a lot of little stuff around our yard, but it could definitely, if it was able to fit on any of the sidewalks, could be used for some of the larger areas like that. So staff, like we talked about staff too. As far as our staff goes, this year we had a little issue with staff. We had a couple guys during the big storm systems that I'll tell you the amount of hours that's required by our snow removal shift, because you work, when it's snowing, you work 12 hours a day, every day until it quits snowing. So when it falls on weekends, you're gone for possibly weeks on end from your family. So we lost a couple guys in early February were able to get anybody to come and finish the year. Fortunately, the way the storms fell, we were able to do it without them. Had it been a big February, we would have really felt the lack of employees there. But as it was, our normal staff would be, at least this year, we have 6 full-time road workers out there. That's not including myself. I can go out and do snow removal, and I do. When we get really behind in the blowing, I'll give them a hand there. And we have 7 seasonal operators now, which dropped down to 5 after those 2 left right there. On our night shift, we run 2 different snow removal shifts. One's the night shift, one's a day shift. The night shift runs from midnight till noon. That currently has 3 snow blowers on shift and 4 loaders plowing on it. Ideally, that shift should have 4 snow blowers on it and 5 loaders to be able to get done what needs to get done. We staff the night shift more heavily because you just can get more done in the middle of the night out there, not worry about traffic. The day shift this year had 4 guys on it, with 1 guy that has the ability to run the snow blower. If not, he's plowing. So that was our crew for it. And we do have the mechanics that overlap on both shifts too. We have 2 mechanics on the day shift, two mechanics on the night shift. They can both run plow trucks and they run fuel to the heavy equipment that's out there as needed. So you usually can't make it a 12-hour shift in any of the equipment, so you have to take fuel into the field. So a mechanic will come out, bring the operators fuel, go back in, fuel the machine, fuel truck up, park it, and get on the plow truck and try to get out there early enough in the morning to put cinder down on the roads before the traffic gets it.
Most of the discussion after this will be about sidewalks and trails, but I want to mention that it's really an art what this crew does, because if it, as an example, if it starts snowing at 5 o'clock in the morning, that's tough because, you know, it's so close, and if it's dumping at 5, how do you get everything and get them clear before everybody wants to go to work? The best was a couple of weeks ago, it was at 2:30, 3 o'clock, it started snowing, and you had a chance to get out there and get ahead of it. You know, we get calls all the time about, you know, why isn't this road done and that, why isn't that road done? And it's like, guys, remember where you are, remember how it can be. We, very frankly, luckily, we haven't had a back-to-back year. I mean, in 10, 11, and 04, 05, 5, 6, you know, I was just visiting, but I can imagine, you know, having to dump for 8 days in a row. How do you keep up? You know, and it's very difficult to do that. So, the other thing that everybody deals with, and it relates to the sidewalks, is snow storage. One of the sidewalks you see on here that we do now is part of Canyon Boulevard that Ace was responsible for helping get that sidewalk built last year on the north side of Canyon Boulevard all the way down. People love it. They use it all the time during the winter, and it's so great because before everybody was walking in the street. The problem is there's no place to put snow on that. It doesn't work on the south side. On the north side, right behind the sidewalk, there's a big slope. So if we had, you know, 2 or 3 storms in a row, we would, you know, I kept telling town council, we're lucky to have that sidewalk. If we lose it, we're done. Well, one of the things we'll be looking at is that they say, okay, keep it open, you're right. Okay, what does that mean? That means a ridiculous amount of coordination between the operation and the sod said to blow snow off the sidewalks. You have to be right there in the street to move it and get it out of there, or it doesn't work, because otherwise you're just trampling on each other. Another one, and I want Hayes to mention the excellent relationship we have with Caltrans, because we're going to build a sidewalk on Main Street from Mountain to Minaret. Hopefully this summer, if not the next summer, depending on funding. But the issue there is Caltrans clears the street and they dump snow on the sidewalk, and then we have to move it within how long?
72 hours.
So, I mean, sort of like, there is a provision where if it's a big storm or a serious storm, we can let it go for a while, but seriously, the point is, we don't have a lot of snow storage.
Explain that to me. We have to remove the snow within 72 hours that they blow. Is that on the sidewalk if we do it? Currently, we don't have that.
We currently don't have any sidewalks that we are permitted to remove snow from on
Right.
SR 203. With the new STIT project that we intend to, well, we hope to start construction this summer, that sidewalk will work a separate maintenance agreement because we are trying to move to a more pedestrian-friendly Main Street as part of our maintenance plan. We negotiated with their staff. They frankly did not want to have us remove snow. They don't want to deal with it. even though it's a state requirement that we have complete streets on the highway, they don't want to acknowledge it, their staff doesn't deal with it. So where we landed is, they're going to continue their operations, they are going to do their best to plow the snow into the bicycle lane in the curb. If it gets to a situation where they run out of space, they have the right to blow it on the sidewalk. But since they acknowledge to a certain degree that we have to have some pedestrian activity, they're requiring the Town of Mammoth Lakes to do the snow removal on the sidewalk. So it's a little wonky, but in order to get an agreement in place, that's what it took.
With that, are we then going to lose the restriction on the sidewalk from Old Mammoth?
We're working on that.
Yeah, okay.
So we focused our attention on this one piece because it was critical that we had this in place prior to moving the project forward, because what's important.
Right.
So we hammered those details out. We've already started a conversation with their staff saying, okay, we have other sections of sidewalk, we have money in the kitty to construct basically the rest of Main Street. We want to be in a position, so 3 years out, 4 years out, we're going to clear the entire 203 from the village down to McDonald's. So we're having those conversations, and we're figuring out how to best deal with it, because every section of 203 is a little bit different. So we're confident we'll get there.
And one thing Todd mentioned, we're doing more sidewalks every year. Well, Safe Route to Schools project for Meridian, we're required basically in terms of the grant to clear that sidewalk. And we certainly want to, because I mean, that is a safe route to school. That gets kids out of Meridian onto the sidewalk. That's working, but again, that's stretching our staff. We haven't added anybody in Parks Maintenance to do that. We have an old track list that died, so we have a new one, so we're more efficient. But we appreciated having this, frankly, the summit now, because when we get back to the office Monday, we start our budget process. And we're gonna take some of this information we learned here and say, okay, this is what we heard, town council. If we're gonna do that, we need another trackless, we need another, operator, we need these things. This is what we need in order to do that job. And that works right into the budget process. I don't know where that's gonna go yet, but we're, open to just about anything.
When you were talking about being obligated to get the new sidewalk cleared in 72 hours, what are the consequences of not meeting that?
There really aren't any.
Yeah, they're
So
not
it's
gonna
just,
come.
It's not like they're going to send the police to our door.
no, but is there money involved or anything?
No,
I don't know.
there's no financial consequences. It's just the agreement is you need to get it cleared in 72 hours. In all honesty, you've seen how we do snow removal around here. We're not going to wait 72 hours. We're going to be waiting for them to get their snow out of the way so we can get it done.
However, there are years that are going to happen again, I promise, where we actually have snow.
Right.
So every place where we clear, and I'll use as an example because the amount that got used this year was epic. The trail from Minaret to Tyrolean Village. There are going to be years where we're actually having snowstorms that produce more than 6 inches, where there is going to be no place to put it. So in your future planning, how have you, for instance, we funded for a while, years ago, an experimental year where we actually took all the snow off of Main Street. And Caltrans was paid to do that. You were yeah. And they used a blower with a nozzle on it that would blow right into the back of a truck, which I thought worked really slick.
We
Now,
used our blowers.
was
It
it
was town blowers, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a town effort.
Yeah. Now, been involved with snow storage for a long time. I know when you blow the snow into the back of a truck, that can create real issues with it coming out when you dump. And the way we got around that in the old days, these aren't the old days, but the way we got around that was spraying diesel in the back of the trucks, and the snow came right out. I don't know.
Probably not gonna do that again.
Sorry,
That doesn't have, it's on, never mind. It's recorded.
I didn't say we did it now.
No, I understand.
We know better now, but that's how it was done. How, have we looked at how to mitigate that? And is that a possibility? Because it's gonna have to happen.
Right.
You're gonna have to blow it straight in the trucks during the storm to keep the road and the walks open.
We do that on Old Mammoth. We haven't in the last 4 seasons, but And when we used to have snow, Old Mammoth Road was a trucked road because when we recreated the new sidewalks, we lost our storage there. So we store that little bit of snow in between the sidewalk and the snow holes and stuff it in there. We still have to haul it off, and that's still a problem. That's what I always stress. When we create these sidewalks, the best possible scenario we can have is on-site storage. Because if you do get into a storm series that is 2 foot after 2 foot after 2 foot, your roads are gonna get really narrow real quick, and you don't haul snow when it's snowing. Heavy equipment's plowing the roads. Heavy equipment, trucks don't haul snow when they have to put chains on.
No, their traction is very good.
Yeah, they don't do it, so you have to wait till the storm's clear, so your roads start getting narrower and narrower. So my personal opinion is the more on-site storage, the better. If not, have something close to where you
Well,
can move it.
I agree, but the town actually doesn't own snow storage anywhere.
Yeah.
The easement that they got years ago, first, doesn't actually force everybody to do it because the property has to change hands before the easement. My property hasn't changed hands, along with several others. And the 10 feet that they decided to do, I told everybody was ludicrous at the time because you can't keep within a 10-foot easement. It's non-exclusive, so it's the same place I put my snow. So it's something in the long run that we have to deal with, is the snow storage issue. It is huge. I would eliminate the wordage I would have used back then, and I would encourage again today. I should never say this in public because I'm running for office. Because everybody should be required
It would be
to,
you, Bill, if you didn't.
yeah, everybody should be required to have enough snow storage on their lot to get off the road, not within 10 feet. Because mine is, and I clear parking on the street, so it's got to
And
be.
that is the current practice, Bill. You know, back in the Wild West, that didn't happen in the Mono counties. Our current standards, our current requirements for development do require that. And if you don't, a
So it's
trucking,
no longer just a 10-foot easement.
it's above and beyond that.
Right.
It goes deeper than that. You actually have to have enough snow storage, you can demonstrate enough snow storage, and if you don't, you have to commit to a trucking plan, and that is required against your
No,
property.
no, I'm not talking about the snow off my property.
And
I'm talking about the
street.
snow off the street,
It's-
right?
It's both, it goes both ways, so we're very cognizant of that.
Right.
And we manage that requirement through development, you know, reviews and so forth, so. The current practice, we're fine. It's all historical property where we're gonna run into those issues, and we do our best to manage those as they come up for help to remediate.
Yeah, I take your snow away all the time. That's what each homeowner should do. I keep that area in front of my house clear. If you blow snow there, I put it in the bucket, I put it in my own snow storage. Yeah.
And we do a few sidewalks, and every time we add one, we end up planning it, especially depending on the source of funds, like we said already. In terms of the paths and mups, the only ones we really do on a regular basis, we do one up Meridian near the schools, correct? That mup, because again, that's a safe route to schools effort, and it's the right thing to do anyway. Do the college connector path, do around the visitor center, like you said. That one on Lake Mary, that's the one from Minaret Road up to Cali. And again, we kept telling the council, we're doing a good job, but if we get 3 storms in a row, that's gone. And they understand that. But we are looking from a budget perspective, okay, we've been doing it, so guess what that becomes? It becomes an expectation, and we're looking at what that means. As an example, the piece from a new sidewalk that's going to be on Main Street, just from Mountain to Minaret, we actually had you guys do an estimate, and that's about a $5,000 effort on a kind of a normal year, if we have to do that. And it's just, I mean, every little piece around town is going to add to that. So we are cognizant of that. We are trying to figure that out. The other we do is, frankly, I think this is the first time this year, just because we happen to have time, is Warren went out with his guys and cleared the mup that goes from the end of Meadow Lane up past the park. And people love that because they usually tramp through the park anyway. I used to live up on that area and I just tramped through. But having that clear, that was a big benefit as well.
So, mobility options.
Yeah, now we want to talk about that, operational issues, what other sidewalks, other routes, I mean, it's just going to go back and forth in recreational.
Have we thought about doing an inventory of our sidewalks and our money? Because there are some that go snow off of town, where if we could manage the snow better and actually remove the snow off, it makes it available for the kids to walk and for other pursuits to happen. Have we thought about that out of your department?
In fact, that's where I'm going to let Hayes take over because between he and Joel, they've talked a lot about that. that ties into mobility and recreation to the town loop, so go for it.
Joel's ears probably burning by now from me slamming the need for that.
Joel and I actually were trying to find money to buy one this season. Staffing that piece of equipment to provide that amenity to the public. We grew, right now we're pretty much putting snow on all of our sidewalks. There's only a couple of small pieces that are currently being missed. So we're doing a pretty good job managing that expectation. As far as the recreational lots are concerned, we have the town loop that wraps around back past the water district. We have it going out to Shady. And we have the section that goes up to Lake Boulevard that are really in play. There's a small piece that goes out to Old Mammoth that does occasionally take loans, depending on what they're doing. But those components were what we're looking at. We haven't really seen much demand for riparian wetland out by Valentine Reserve or Waterford Gap. There's just probably way too much snow over there to manage that right now. Not saying that we couldn't. We do some snow removal on the bridge itself, just so in the emergency situation we're ready to equipment across it. But we're really looking for some input as to what would be the best treatment for the trail system master plan identifies three different treatments: making it flat, grooming it or packing it, and doing nothing. We're currently pretty good at doing nothing. There are a couple sections where we've taken we've got a couple of sections where we've taken to black. We've seen what happens. Clear it, and now managing expectation want that product. We haven't done the equipment. We don't have the equipment in our inventory. So Joel and I will work on doing that. Joel actually does have a contract with the bicycle group to use their equipment. Unfortunately, I was talking about we didn't get the opportunity to do that. We want to do some moves with it. Be that. So with the public, really, we're talking about these recreational activities. What's the benefit? We're going to get differing opinions depending on who you talk to. Should it be black? Or should it be green? If you're a runner or a mom pushing a stroller, you want it black. If you're a snowshoer or a fat biker, you want it green. And so, in order to get to a point where we can recommend the preferred alternative, we have to kind of have a conversation with the public, who's here at large, figure out what would be best. That's why I'm
And you've heard some of the other sessions, just heard some stuff on Shady Rest that's going to be valuable.
Right. So we're going to synthesize from all these other sections naturally, because I think the lake space we're going to hear a lot about this. But the loops, we have them. They're come back. The lower elevations, we're kind of, I think we're a little off. We can cut it and make it black, or we can run a room around it.
But when I suggest grooming, in my mind, and I could be wrong, you guys are professional, I don't cut you any slack for that, still. It goes beyond what is just best for the people. What damage do we do to the trails by taking that black? I have to know that's not a really good thing for them. However, if we pack the snow on top of it, it will serve the same purpose. People can walk on it without falling through. It's not a bad thing. You only have to do it after each storm, and you don't create the ice issue that you do with taking it down to black. So from a cost-effective standpoint, from a ability to use standpoint by many different people, and from a maintenance and replacement standpoint, it seems to be where we can groom. Now, obviously, we're not going to groom from Joaquin to the summit on that sidewalk, because first, there's too many damn cinders in it. I wish we would stop using them. And second, it's blower snot, and the groomer doesn't do well with blower snot. It's too damn hard. But there are other areas, on the perimeters and stuff where we did have that snow management tool. We should use it to create that opportunity and save ourselves money in the long run on maintenance. So if we were doing that and we were doing some sidewalks, would we can where we groom and don't plow? Would that still qualify for state reimbursement in our snow management or snow? Is that a potential source of funding to help get it done?
Two things. First is, I think we do almost all of our sidewalks in red. We don't have many sidewalks in town anyway, so I think we do vast majority. In terms of the state reimbursement, I know it's finance that does that, but you may just from your experience know better about how that works. And they reimburse me for 50% of the sidewalks as well, is it just our whole operation?
I'm not sure for sidewalks. I think they do because it's a gas tax. It is a mobility element, so I'm pretty sure it does.
So the question, and I'm sure we don't know today, can we manage the snow differently if we move it and still use it out of that reimbursement?
So the sidewalks, the mobility element, they need to be taken down and completed. It's pretty clear in those agreements. So let me characterize your comments one way. Where we need mobility, or we're strictly moving people, sidewalks, that type of thing, we take it down to the hard surface. However, when we have a recreational opportunity, you would rather see it on the group side. And
There are some sidewalks that can be recreational too. You may not have heard, you may not have heard this far. Anybody else on your side will certainly say, we've got to go out on our muffs and our sidewalks, inventory them, so that we can make that decision, which is appropriate for removal and which is appropriate for management.
Look at, I think we're doing all the sidewalks. I don't know if we're, as an example though, when we're not doing, on Meridian, we're doing the north side of the street to make sure that we have a safe route to school, but the south side of the street, is the Vaughn Center doing something like that?
yeah, that's going to be on the sidewalk. That's property special.
Yeah, we're not doing the sidewalk, we're not doing the sidewalk from Joaquin to Chair 15.
Oh, I can do it right now? That's not a sidewalk.
That's not a sidewalk
mud.
either.
That's a mud. I should take my life.
That's a sidewalk.
It's not a sidewalk, because there's a distinction
Let
between
me
the
bring
two.
my new Webster dictionary out there and show you the definition of a sidewalk versus a trail.
I'll
That's
show
a
you the grant
sidewalk.
that paid for it, and
We
that
get to
grant
write-
tells you what it is.
We write our definitions and that's not a sidewalk.
Yeah.
Webster, we don't, yeah.
Now, there is a distinction, and I'll put it this way. When you have a concrete curb and gutter
Right.
that abuts directly to a concrete sidewalk or a concrete walkway, that's classified as sidewalk.
So the cement sidewalk that goes along Sierra Star houses property there,
Yes,
that is not a sidewalk, that's a mud.
that's considered junk.
Well, it is, it has buckles, I keep wanting to drive the loader down there.
So that one is probably, it actually functions more of a muck than it is a sidewalk.
What about on the frontage road? So I live on the corner of Joaquin and frontage road, and there's that whole sidewalk, and you get the whole handicap ramp and all that stuff. None of that's really fun.
Right, we actually were talking about that before you joined us. That's actually promenade, just to throw that term out there, but it's sidewalk, effectively.
Right.
So where you see asphalt pathway, that's multi-use path, and that's what we draw our distinction. Pretty much all the sidewalks we've built in the last 7 to 8 years were through Safe Route to School grant funding. Those are required to be cleared for pedestrian mobility. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. We are required to do that. So
Sierra Nevada Tavern.
Sierra Nevada Tavern, Sierra Park, Meridian Boulevard, all the major stuff in that area is safe route, so that has to be cleared. There's stuff on 203 that's moving towards Clinton. The conversation we had earlier was just about how we're going to get there. But we're confident within, as we move the sidewalk projects forward, we'll be in a position within probably 3 to 4 years where there will be sidewalk Route 203 and it will all be clear. That is the goal. But the MUFs is really the question right now. We can go a couple different ways with it. And there's crossover. There's MUFs that function as sidewalks.
Absolutely.
And they like a prime example is the section from Meridian, where right at Old Mammoth Road, to Waterfront, where it connects to Old Mammoth. There's that
Right.
across it. That is the pedestrian connectivity to all of Old Mammoth.
Right.
And so that actually functions more as a sidewalk than a recreational opportunity.
Good, take the snow off.
That would be the recommendation.
That's the input we want, and that's what we have
But
to
that's-
figure out.
And that
operations.
one is huge.
And staff, yeah.
The use that it gets is, again,
It's hot.
it's hot, yeah.
And it should be black. It shouldn't be group. It should be.
black, I agree.
But that's a muck. So that's why we're asking these questions, because it's not an easy answer. When you just say make the mucks, group it doesn't apply to the situation. So that's why we want to inventory them is the correct word, and we have done that. We actually have them all itemized and table and we can actually export that. And then make a recommendation to town council and say, look, if you want to clear these, this is what it takes. If you want to groom these, well, this is gonna be the impact to our budget, the staff needs to do that. And so we're gonna put the council in a position to make that decision and let them know what it takes, staff and equipment wise to get there. But we wanted to have this candid conversation with the public and say, what is best? You know, sometimes we just don't know. We could go either way. We were talking about Shady Rest earlier. I could make an argument to make that path black just as easy as I can make an argument to groom it.
Yeah, I agree. However, my argument is stronger, so we're gonna groom the ones that can be groomed.
And what happens, of course, I'll just go back to Todd's mentioned about 2 foot after 2 foot after 2 foot. The priority is the streets.
You're thinking small, because we get a lot more than 2 feet sometimes.
No, he said 2 feet. I was here for 8 feet. You know, I've been here for those storms too. I understand that not as many as you have. But the point being, if we are down to 5 staff and somebody gets sick, so you're down, you're down another one. Where's Warren? He's not doing the sidewalks. He's come over and helping do the roads, whatever it takes, because the first priority has to be clean the streets, make it safe, get people to work or whatever, and then we get back to the sidewalks. But that's all part of it. That's, again, that's one reason we like this summit now, because we're talking about this. We've been doing this since winter started, frankly, right? How do we do it better, and what other equipment do we need to make it happen? It is tougher to add people because, as an example, this year it's I'm not saying it's working out great, you need more people, I understand that. But versus last year when it didn't snow, we got a lot of crack sealing done, we got a lot of great maintenance done. We didn't move a lot of snow, so it's always a balance. How many seasonal workers do we have? I typically agree with Todd. We add more and we just bite the bullet, it costs more money and we get more done. But it's a tough
Need
balance.
bodies and equipment we have to keep the level of snow.
No, I understand, especially since you're a city and your employees are all under certain contracts.
And there's a level of expertise required in this part, okay, what they do.
I did it for over 20 years.
And you can't
I
just
didn't
find
get to
somebody.
get out of the loader after 12 hours.
As an example,
We have to though.
late
I know you
January,
do, that's what I'm saying.
late January, early February, we started advertising for seasonal workers again. Nothing. We've got 0 in 6, 7, 8 weeks now. We've gotten nobody who wants to make a decent amount of money and a good job for a couple of months. We can't find them because they're not qualified. We interviewed a few people, but it's tough.
It's because no one wants to work for Todd.
That's right, yeah, exactly. They put that on me. I'd rather work for the fire. No, they don't say that.
We shouldn't have equipment sitting. We should have all of our equipment for the most part running out there when it's snowing. It's sad to see stuff sitting because we're capable of
So
so much
when
more.
we're understaffed, I'm segueing back to the first part of the program.
Absolutely.
So when we're understaffed and there's a greater need for speed, do we then take more advantage of the plow trucks? I understand that you like to go out in the loaders because you can blacktop it all the time. However, in big storms, that just doesn't pay. You cannot do the amount of miles you have
We make,
while capping.
yeah, but the problem is you're limited to your main routes more or less with your plow trucks. You can't do residential areas.
Put it down my street, Dad, I don't care.
I know, but when you start getting the
I'll drive it down my
cul-de-sacs,
street.
cul-de-sacs and tight residential plow trucks just do not work.
No, cul-de-sacs,
It
right.
takes so much longer to do it. Yeah, we do. I mean, if the storm is really big and we come in here, the blowers can't blow snow until the loaders plow it to the side of the road.
Correct.
So our blower guys end up going out from plow trucks and hitting the main routes to free up the loaders to get to the residential areas a little bit quicker. So when we used to have a very small staff many years ago, that was our nightly deal. We plowed main routes with plow trucks, the loaders busted off to the residential areas, and the plow truck drivers came back then after a couple hours in a truck, parked the trucks and jumped into the blowers and went out blowing. So yeah, I mean, it's just, we change our program according to what the snow is, as far as that goes.
So as we look into the future and know that we're gonna have to be doing a lot more trucking, do we look into getting a couple of more plow trucks that can serve double duty, not as cinder trucks, but as snow removal operations, and then put them out at busy times so that we can keep the stores open?
I think we need bodies as much as anything to be able to fill the equipment. That's our shortfall right now. We have a pretty decent, I think 2 plow trucks with cinder beds is sufficient to take care of this town. we have plenty of loaders, we just don't necessarily have the loaders out in the field because we don't have the staff to operate them, so.
So, for those that haven't been here long enough, in the past, the county had a deal where it legally had the right to go to the local snow removal operators, and it's happened several times in town, and say, you're no longer doing parking lots, you're now doing streets. Does that ability still exist in towns?
Well, it exists, we go through a snow summit every year with the mountain, too, and the mountain's always available to us.
Right.
Like we are to the mountain, and when, we haven't had it for many years, but in years past, when we've been really behind, just because the blowers are just at a creep pace, the mountain will come down and they'll give the town a hand. They'll take the routes that their buses run with the snow blower and everything. We try to limit it because they don't know where the houses, front porches, where their cars are parked and everything. Our guys do the same route every single time, so they're very familiar with where they're going. Granted, they do make mistakes here and there, but what we notice is they help get the snow off the road, but our claims went through the roof because they're blowing glass out of cars, they're hitting houses with their snow and everything. So we try to limit
All
what
of
we
those
can do.
condo
with those
projects, when you absolutely have it.
So it's anybody really, if we were that deep in snow, I would think the town would reach out and see what we could do, but you still have to mitigate the property to get it, is it worth
Yeah,
having a
but
bunch
to
of
have,
private
to have
operators
10
out
extra
there?
blades on the road is a
Yeah.
huge thing. I'm not talking about the blowers, because that's a whole other thing. I drove a blower for several years too, and that's, no, thank you.
But I could have applied for the seasonal job.
I could, yes, I could.
It's not too late.
Yes, yes, I looked at what you were doing.
Ouch. We're working on that too, okay? And we, these guys come back year after year, a lot of them, in fact. A lot of them come back year after year, very frankly. We had a good example this year. So they can then get a full-time job with the town.
Our seasonal guys are huge to our program, they really are, and we need to treat them well. They know our program, there's no training involved. Every year that one of our seasonal guy comes back, he's ready to go. He can do the maintenance part of it when it's not snowing, because he's familiar with our patch track, with our crack sealer, with everything that doesn't have to do with snow removal. When it snows, he jumps in and he goes. He knows the location area he'll be able to go. You get a new guy in, it's a 2-year training process to get a new person in a load or comfortable.
And if they don't have the right mindset,
Exactly.
they're gonna be a driver, not an operator.
Absolutely.
I get it.
Absolutely. So they are valuable to us.
Would there be an advantage to taking some of your 7 part-timers, because we also have part-timers on the rec side in the summertime, and rolling them into a shared employee as a full-time? It would be easier to get full-time. I know it costs more because now you've got the PERS retirement and the insurance package that goes with it. But would there be an advantage in that and in keeping the employees in?
A couple of things. We've actually talked about that a little bit. First of all, they're completely different people. Second, a lot of our seasonal workers have full-time jobs in the summer where they make as good or better money. And we can't pay them that much to be rec people. Having said that, we're also going to look up at, I'm going to look at what South Lake Tahoe is doing. I don't understand how it works, but apparently a couple of months ago, or a few months ago, they talked about a reorganization where they're going away from seasonal workers entirely. Everybody's year-round. I'm going to look into that. I'm going to talk to Ray and say, how does this work for you? Or did it work? This is their first season doing that. I suggest we go up together. I never even met him. But
I would think we would
how did you do that?
I would think we would be the cheapest employees to have a full-time, just because our reimbursement for snow removal. It's not, you're getting 50% of your snow removal time. So that's basically 5 to 6 months of a year, you're paying half price for those employees. So retention then through the summertime would be great.
And I realize
We have started that
that,
conversation.
I realize that they can make more in the summertime in their pockets, but they can't really make more because you cannot beat the perk package that goes along with being a full-time town employee. And I think there's a lot of guys out there who would understand that. Besides, they make more in the trades, and the trades are mighty rough on their body. Todd wouldn't look like this if he actually had to work for a living.
He's 34.
There could be some shared savings, with the program that Joel's rolling out with the trails, there could be some crossover. The council was looking, I think just hypothetically, in theory, there could be something, but it does cost more. But from a staff perspective, to have retention and have that training there's actually, it becomes more cost effective, even though on paper it's more expensive. Reality is you're gonna get more bang for your buck because those people know what they're doing.
You know, we got about 5 minutes left, but I want to get Joel to say something. When we're talking about other trails and even out in the Sherwins and everything else, we haven't talked about any type of grooming effort, anything else other than that, other than the town loop. We do now clear the new parking lot out of the tanks, correct? And that's created the trailhead for other people. Is there anything else you can think of in terms of snow management that Warren's crews, that we can do, or equipment? You know, we talked about a piece of equipment that can do the trails that you can think of to add to this.
Absolutely, you know, we just had a track discussion about shady rest. We
Right.
tended to have, there are some common threads occurring in these tracks. And so for snow management, you know, center toward recreation. You know, I think we can agree that that's almost a blank canvas with the exception of the shady rest grooming. But for more of a multi-use sort of winter trail experience out in the Sherwins Meadow, be great, connected by the multi-use pathway system out towards Shady Rest.
Snow Creek, when we talk about the golf course, any opportunity there?
Well, right, that's right across from the borrow pit, but that's a node, a trail system node that we want to focus resources on. We built a parking lot, now it's time to think about other infrastructure. It ultimately will likely connect to a multi-use pathway that's in a planning phase currently. From Mammoth Creek West Park, it'll go out towards Borrow Pit. Not sure of the exact alignment, but that's ultimately in the works. One thing I'm hearing from this specific track is I think of the word responsiveness. So we're dealing with a good year, bad year, snow-wise, everything in between. Whatever program ends up going toward town council or Forest Service or these decision makers, we need to craft a machine that can be immediately responsive to the conditions. So it doesn't take us a few weeks to line things up. So that when the snow falls and it's really good, hey, let's go groom some winter trails. And you know, the same kind of responsiveness that you have built into your snow management program needs to be applied toward anything on the recreation side.
One way to do that, and we're already using, obviously, Friends of the Indian groups and stuff up at Shady Rest, but when these guys were talking about the town loop and the thing we didn't get to do this year, we sat into the Mammoth Trails Committee meeting, and Alan mentioned, we just got a piece of equipment. And, right away, we started talking. It's like, why would, it's harder for us to be responsive to that. We're focused on safety and mobility. But if we have contractors, as an ad hoc basis, and have the piece of equipment, we can say, okay, great, it's snowing, go do this. This will be great for fat pipes. This will be great for those other things. And using contractors gives us a lot more flexibility.
Potentially, I'm not sure. They could be more expensive. So we pay the Friends of the Indians $20,000 to have a 1 or 2 mile groom trail system like the city. We have to groom it first because their machine can't handle the snow. So the motorized trail, and right now there's a huge threat to that program. So if that program goes away, the groom trail system goes away completely. $20,000 if you own your piece of equipment, that's your CIP part, so you don't charge that off to the program. $20,000 pays for a winter's worth of employee to drive it. How many miles of groom trail system can you have? So there's a California congressman who's floated the idea of eliminating the gas tax and replacing it with road use tax and sales tax. If that happens, the green sticker program goes away completely. So then we have no groomer to do what we need. So if we're going to act as a town, we need to act proactively. We're not just talking about adding. We're talking about having to have the ability to groom what we're currently grooming or losing it. So that's why I'm pushing so much for this. Measure R and Measure U, we're both asked for recreation, folks. There's a lot of uses for them, but one of them easily could be buying that piece of snow management equipment that allows us to add on for today, but to take the program over from the Forest Service if and when that becomes a necessity. So to me, that is of fairly high political importance, and it should be to anybody, whether you're a fat biker, a cross-country skier, a snowshoer, less a snowmobile driver. It's an easy growing program, it's a great thing for tourists, but I frankly hardly ever use it. It's the way it is. The most I've ridden is when I took Joel out earlier this year, and I took him out specifically to see the trail system, so I stayed on it. It's a hard thing for me to do, and I didn't. We did go off trail stuff. Yeah.
And I agree, and that's the kind of input we were looking for, because we've started these conversations.
We were actually, I got a
Do this
stack
all the time.
of brochures from different manufacturers we're reloading at. We recognize that this is a change and that there's opportunities.
Right.
But again, through this whole process, since we're running out of time, just to sort of go back, we're going to take all this, synthesize it, make recommendations, and take it to town council and say, make a decision. If you want to do these things, you're going to tell the public, yes, we're doing it, we're willing to make this commitment, or no, we're not interested in doing that, we're not going to. So, it's going to be part of our budget process. And for this particular track, you'll probably hear it come back publicly at town council through the budget process or part of another staff.
And one of the things we'll look at, just very frankly, is our first priority is still the streets.
Has to be.
Number one, then the sidewalk. So even if we get into that type of program, we're gonna require that operator to be fully qualified to be out there. And when we have time, we'll get back to it. And it's just, it has to be that way, because I agree, we're still understaffed this season
So that,
especially.
that plays into
So,
the
but-
responsiveness. So if
but
we
cross-training,
have
be able to
someone
do it.
doing this, and then there's this
We're on the
emergency.
same page.
Remember, when the Forest Service program started, we did not start with paid employees. I'm not the Forest Service, I'm just the one that went out and got pretty good money. I played the political side. It was volunteer groomers, but they had to be certified to get in the machine. There's a lot of grooming programs in the state that run on those. So it isn't necessary, perhaps, in today's age, everybody wants to make money on everything, I get it, but there are ways that if we just had that piece of equipment, it could still be put to good use by using certified.
Just check.
Okay.
We have 30 seconds left. Any last comments? If not, thanks everybody. And no, again, more information, bring it all together and go from there.